Greetings, African family. Welcome, beloved. Welcome to another episode of Clear Thinking with Brother Dulani. Now, I've been thinking, my people, and I've been in this struggle for a while now, and I've just begun to let my thoughts become public and what I've been thinking about and researching over the years. So, in these broadcasts, I'll be talking about controversial subject, and I have speak on many topics that has been controversial so far. And this one, I think, will also be controversial. And it's surrounding religion. Now, let me issue a disclaimer from the beginning. I am not opposed to any religion, including Christianity, Islam, Judaism, the whole nine yards. I'm not anti-religion. I'm only going to try to give an analysis based on African people relationship with other religious thought process or school of thoughts, and try to identify what these school of thoughts has done to our people. I think this is very important for us to be clear about who we are as a people and to recognize how religion is or have changed the mind of our people, impacted, affect our thinking process. We now have today African people believing that they are Israelites. This is an example of how religion and indoctrination can affect the people. Now, before Islam came into West Africa, West, Central, and Southern Africa, before Islam came, before Christianity came to those regions, before they was brought there by foreigners, before Judaism was brought to West Africa, Central Africa, and Southern Africa, none of us was talking about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. None of our oral history, none of the history of our people, and we have been in West Africa for thousands upon thousands of years. And none of that was in our historical oral tradition. We had our own African language, we have our own African thought process, and we have our own traditions, our own culture. After the religion was introduced to us over through conversion, we begin to adapt the narrative of the Arabs and other forces who come into North Africa, bringing us these thought process. And then we have the Portuguese along with the Spanish and the English, the French, coming into Africa, bringing Christianity to us. Now we got people to show you how deeply we've been impacted by these traditions, by these thought process, these Abrahamic religious thinking, Abraham religious doctrines. We now Africans today believe that they are descendant from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they are actually Hebrew Israelite. When African people were in West Africa, Central Africa, Southern Africa, before the invention of the idea of an Hebrew Israelite, before Abraham Abraham, depending on where you're getting your source from, is a eponymous ancestor. He is not considered to be a literal historical figure. He's a literary figure that was created as a character, as a religious character. And before that idea even came about, before those people who wrote about this idea, African people were already in Africa for thousands of years. And as Homo sapiens, we've been in Africa for at least 200,000 to 300,000 years. So, and the Abrahamic story, I mean, according to historical record, I mean, the most you can go back to is probably 800 BC. 800, you know. And you'd be hard pressed to find it there. Most well, I wouldn't say, I don't know what the consensus is, but most scholars will say around 400 BC, you would find records of a people who were considered to be Israelites. But they were not the same people that were written about as the Isaac and Jacob story, the Abrahamic story. It's totally different. And what we find out is that African people are willing to abandon their whole history. They could be Zulus, they could be Hosa, they could be Fulani, they could be Igbo, Yoruba, you name it, along the West Coast, are now abandoning their own traditional culture and claiming to be descendant from the Middle East, claiming to be descendant from Isaac and Jacob. And there's no historical record to support that argument. But some of them would probably even do you great harm if you disagree with them. If you tell them, say, brother, you were in Africa before these people existed, before the ideas of these people was invented, was written about. These people came later on in the story. They came very late in our history. So we should not be walking around claiming to be descendants from people or ancestors that never existed. They're literary ancestors. They was created for literary purposes. And these mythological stories are good for teaching. They are teaching stories to you can embody a culture or traditions in these type of stories. But where we go wrong is that we cling on to these stories and take them literal. We take them as if these people actually walk this earth and we are, in fact, imagine this now. For this story to be accurate, we would have walked from Israel across the Sahara into West and Central Africa and populated that area. And then we would be kidnapped and brought to the Western world. And then we are the Israelites. That's the story. And we're fulfilling the biblical prophecy according to them. None of it stand up to history. None of it stand up to archaeology. But we need to get that right. You hear they talk about the destruction of the temple by the Romans in 70 AD, and they trekked into Africa, and they trekked into West Africa. Where is the historical records to support that? Nothing. But we will accept these stories. We will believe them. And religion become taking over our mind. And that's what you call indoctrination. Many of us are not contented with accepting our African self. We're not contented with being African from West Africa. We've been there for thousands and thousands of years. And our DNA can prove it in our blood. And these same people are claiming to be from Suma, they're claiming to be from Israel, they're claiming to be from Isaac and Jacob. They refuse to do a DNA test. Because if they're saying that they're from Suma, the people from Suma still exist. If Abraham came from those people still got descendants today. That means that your DNA would match with those people there. And the reality is that most of us watching this broadcast, up to 70 to 80, probably 90% of your DNA comes from West and Central Africa. We know that our DNA has been compromised. About 30% of our DNA is mixed with our European enslavers and our colonizers. And some with the native people that we was able to intermingle with and intermix with. So we know that there's been intermixing of our people. Our people are intermixed and interbreed and admixed with other people along our journey. Not by choice. Many of it was by force. But we have to accept reality. It is what it is. Not only few of us was able to go through the great Mangamizi, the great destruction that we've been through and remain intact. Only a few of us. The vast majority of us could not withstand that onslaught, that genocidal attack on our people and remain intact. Many of us, we lost our identity. We lost a lot of our identity. We lost a lot of our culture. We lost a lot of our customs. We lost our name. We lost a great deal of our language. So we kind of lost our sense of identity. And now we are resurrecting and we are claiming to be something new. And in many cases, we are a new set of people now, especially those in the diaspora. We have become a new set of people. But is it based on truth? Then that is where the reconnection with our African roots is so important. It's because now we now have to contend with who we are. The identity of us plays a role again. Because it doesn't make no sense we pretend to be from descendants from people that we're not. Because reality will embarrass us. We'll be embarrassed and humiliated for claiming to be people that we're not. And the evidence doesn't support it. We who are in the West, in the diaspora, are not from Israel. We're not descendants from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You have to understand that, my people. You got to get that clearly into your head. We're descendants from great Africans all across the West Coast and Central Coast and Southern Africa. We came from all over Africa and brought to the Western world in enslavement ships. And we was interbred on the concentration camps, them in the so-called Caribbean, in the Americas, in the North, South, and Central Americas. That's where we was interbred. And we became a new people. Quintessentially, we are a true African because we are an amalgamation of many African nations and people all across Africa. That's where our roots lies. Not outside of Africa, not in the Middle East, not in Europe, not in Asia. It's in Africa. And we need to be proud of that. But religion can make us look past our own culture, throw our culture to the side, turn our backs on our own culture, turn our backs on our real ancestors and claim fake, fictitious, mythological ancestors from other people's traditions and culture. Because that's what doctrine does. Once the doctrine hooks your mind and capture your mind, you just become an autonomous robot for that doctrine. You would defend it at all costs. Because that's all you see. And it's not necessary, my people. We just need to accept who we are. We are an African people that's went through great damage. We're speaking in foreign language. And we're practicing, by and large, foreign cultures. But we need to acknowledge that so we begin to repair the damage. We need to repair this psychological effect on us. The historical record is clear. So far, all the archaeological digs and all the archaeologists that's working in the field, they cannot confirm no such story of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They cannot confirm no such thing as an Exodus, as a Moses. There's nothing in the Kemetic records, which they call Egypt, the records, which those Africans that built the empire of Kemet were very literate people. They kept great records and great track of everything, almost everything they did. And that civilization was over, if you're counting now, back then you're looking at about 5,000 to 6,000 years old, years of civilization. And if you're talking about culture, that culture has been around for about 10,000 years. If you're looking at just a cultural habitation and habitat, been around for a significant period of time, all along the Rift Valley, the Nile Valley, all along the River Nile, going all the way to Tanzania and Uganda. You know, all along there, the indigenous African people built that civilization. So if we want to claim greatness, we can claim Africa. Africa is the birthplace of civilization itself and contributed to the civilization of other places as well. So we have no need to turn to foreign land to seek culture, to seek understanding. We got great nations in West Africa that have built great things that we can be proud of. We don't need to seek validation from culture outside of Africa. And we wish all those cultures the best. You know, the Arabs want to embrace Islam, is good for them. If those people call themselves Jews want to accept Judaism, good for them. The Europeans want to be Christians, good for them. But we as African, we have our ancestral traditions that we can choose to maintain or not. We have Ubuntu. We have Mahat as a guidance system. Because at the end of the day, religion is a path for you to correct your behavior, to live a ethical and moral life. Any guidance system that you have, any teaching that you have can be your religion. It's not hard, it's not complicated. The stories that we read about are examples to prepare us for real life, to prepare us to live moral, to live decent, to live loving, to live caring with your one another. How to conduct yourself in business affairs, how to conduct yourself in the family, how to conduct yourself in the community. That is what these teachings are all about. Let's not get confused. No one have a monopoly on morality. No nation of people have a monopoly on how to treat a baby, or how to treat your elders, or how to live good. Every people should be able to come up with a system to guide them. And these systems eventually become laws in which we are governed by. We, as African people, have to believe in ourselves and have confidence in the wisdom of our own people, in the wisdom of our own ancestors. And we have enough systems in place, we have enough teachings in place to guide our thinking, to guide how we operate, how we treat each other, with love, with decency, with respect, and with fairness. And there's another part to our system of teachings, a system that we live by, in that we have a communal idea of how resources is to be distributed and shared, which is distinct between us and other people. Other people, many of them believe that the wealth should be concentrated in the hands of a few. We Africans believe in a system where the collective is taken care of, that the wealth is used for the development of everyone, the community. Everyone should have a home. Everyone should have access to food, clothing, shelter. Everyone should have access to medical care. And that will separate us from other people. And they were trying to tell us that it's not practical. Because for human to live in loving and caring and all this stuff is not practical. You have to put greed into it. Greed, dominance, and that is the driver of progress. Then how did we survive for 300,000 years if that was the driver of progress? How? You see, that's the trick. That's the bamboozling. But we can build the greatest technological industries possible and still look after everybody in the society. We can create great things and still have a society where everybody can enjoy the labor. Everybody can enjoy the resources. Everybody can be respected and taken care of. It's possible. Don't let them don't let them tell you otherwise. Because if it's another way, then that means they're lying to us. Because they're teaching that everyone can be a millionaire if only you work hard enough. So that means that in America, there's 300 and like what, 20, 30 million people? So they're going to have 330 million millionaires in America if you follow what they're saying. And that's not happening because less than 5% of the population own right now over 250,000. And that's not going to change for a long time to come. So we got to be careful. We have been bamboozled. We've been tricked. And religion can play a role in us being tricked. Because there's other ramifications of religion where the religion only stops at a certain point. It doesn't translate into economic empowerment. It doesn't translate into protecting the people and to make sure that everyone is taken care of. No, it becomes a protection for those who have plundered the world for the last 500 years and have amassed the wealth of the world in the hands of a few. And they want to maintain this. While the vast majority of us will sit there and just claw our way and hoping that few generation to come will find a way to make it. That's not how it's supposed to be. We should put a system in place where we can guarantee that everybody get a shot. And everybody know that the society is there for everyone to benefit from. And that is my message for today, my people. Be careful of religious indoctrination that take us away from who we are as an African people. We are not Hebrew Israelites. We're not Moors. We're not Muslims. Unfortunately, those religion was introduced to us. It was introduced to us mainly through our enslavement, mainly through our colonization. That's how we became exposed to these religions, and they have been able to tamper with our oral tradition to have us thinking that we are descendants from these people. The truth will set us free, as they say. We got to accept the truth of our reality and embrace our African self. And it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a step-by-step process. But we got to read. Many great scholars have come along our way. And I don't want to make this broadcast too long, but there are scholars like Dr. Ben, like Dr. John Henry Clark, like John G. Jackson, scholars like Anthony Browder. We need to learn our history, know who we are. We are a great people, and we have done great things. We have been invaded, we have been kidnapped, we have been brutalized, we have been enslaved, we have been colonized, but it's not over yet. We still got a long way to go. And we're still resurrecting, we're still fighting. There's still many of us who are committed to our liberation, committed to the dignity of our people. So don't give up. You're not alone, African people. You're not alone. There is hope. There is solutions, but it's in our hands. Each one of us have to get up and stand up to stop this mangamizi against our people, to stop this onslaught against our people, especially the mental damage being done to our people. Be careful of religion. Be careful of religion that was introduced to us and to take us away from who we are. If you're practicing a religion for you, you're looking for a moral code or a moral guidance to teach you how to love one another, I mean, there's not much I can say about that. But when a religion starts to affect your identity, to have you identifying as someone you're not, that is a problem. We cannot teach our children that falsehood. We have to teach them who they truly are. Teach them based on truth. Teach them based on science. Teach them about technology. Teach them to make us great as a people. Don't have them thinking that the sky is going to crack open and some savior is going to come save us. Please, we're going to have to save ourselves. Every homeless people out there that you see, only we going to end homeless. Only we are going to end hunger. Only we are going to end poverty. Only us people are going to do that. So thank you, my people. This has been episode 17 of Clear Thinking with Brother Dulani. Please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Help me to keep making these broadcasts. Help me to keep spreading the word. I will do my best, and I will try to pick the best topic that is suitable for our family. Thank you very much. Hotep, Mahat. Greatness, my people. African excellence.